Okay, so this is when something really dark came into my life, a dark entity, and my daughter was around 7 or 5 or 7. She was kind of young, thank goodness. We were living in this apartment, and it was after the Ohio State Reformatory. So I feel like this was kind of might have been connected to that, and something followed me home. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure. So there were things happening in my daughter's room. Uh, Now, being a medium, I do have spirit that comes periodically, like, hey, and I have to just keep cleansing my house or telling them to go away. So in the beginning, I just thought it was that. Like, she would go, Mommy, my toys are turning on, you know? And so I would come in the room quiet in my mind, going, get on our kid's room, you know what I mean? And I would do a cleansing of her room, and that would be the end of it. Well, she told me years later. Or no. She told me at the time, but we talked about it a lot since then. But I remember she told me at the time that one night she felt a man's hand grab her leg while she was sleeping, like she was laying there going to sleep. And she said that she just thought it was Daddy. Now, as a teenager, she told me, she goes, I really believe Dad. Um, I told myself that it was Dad. He snuck into my room, he crawled along the floor, and he grabbed my leg and he was trying to scare me. You know what I mean? And that was her story. She told herself when she was 5 or 6 that's all that was. And she said she could feel it, like the fingers and everything in her, and it was a big man hand, a big meaty hand, and it wouldn't let go of her leg. And she kept wondering, why isn't Dad letting go of my leg or popping out? But she was like, oh, well, I'm tired. And she went to sleep. Thank God. Because I think that was her real saving grace. She didn't get scared. She didn't feed it with fear. She didn't, you know what I mean? Like, she didn't do anything. She just went to sleep. And that, people, is why I started sending fairies to her room. Okay, in some of the other videos, I talk about how I started sending fairies. This is why. And she hadn't had an experience like that since. I started asking God to give her protection, her room protection, her protection, and her room was off limits, and to send her fairies to protect her room from anything darker. And it worked. She hadn't had anything since. But then, I guess whatever that thing was, I'm assuming it's the same thing, started coming after me. And I remember one night, this is around Halloween because we had our Halloween stuff out, and my mother-in-law had given us this stupid little ghost, that it talks with movement, and it goes whoa whenever it senses, okay, and it started doing that to me and my husband, and there was nobody near it setting it off, and we're going. My husband was like, and I go, it's probably nothing, and I turned the sensor, towards the wall, so there's nothing. There's nobody walking. There's no light. Because my mother-in-law's, oh, it's the light. Somebody walked by. It was lights and shadows. It was facing a wall, and nobody was walking. It was just me and my husband. Nobody was moving light around to set off the sensor, okay? So I start going, well, if it's something communicating, it'll keep using it. So I started asking questions, and the thing would go, whoa, whoa, like it would make a sound, whatever it was doing, to my questions. And my husband's like, scared. He doesn't like any of this. He doesn't like any of this. I was getting scared. I'm like, you know what? I don't know what this thing is, and I'm not liking it very much. I was getting darkness. I was not getting, this is just a random dead person. I didn't like it. So I'm like, okay, that's it. Ghost is out. I turned it off. I threw it away, not away, but out of the house, back in storage. I'm like, I don't want to deal with this. Well, around that time, and I don't remember specifics because it's been so long, but it was in that time frame. I remember laying in bed with my husband. He'd already passed out. And I'm doing my prayer. I'm laying there doing gratitude and all that. And I remember some dark, big, huge cloak thing, just like the thing from my bedroom, but bigger. This thing was not tiny. It was bigger. It had mass to it. Like, not 7 feet tall, but it was wider and taller, like I would say like 5'5", 5'6", something like, but fatter. And I felt it walk in, and it was doing this. Now it was speaking in tongues. It was going, so it was doing that. Scared the shit out of me. I'm laying there, and I could almost hear it with my physical ears. That's how it was. So I start praying to God, okay, and I'm not doing the normal prayer because I feel like prayers are great, okay, like, Hail Mary and Our Father and all that. But I like to speak from my heart, and I am begging God and Archangel Michael and everybody to just intercede, and all this kind of stuff. And it got louder. It was like, and it was like taunting me, like it felt like it was going, your God won't save you, which scared me even more. I'm trying with every ounce of strength I had to wake up my husband. Like, I could barely move. I was so frozen with fear. I was like, the only thing working was my brain. And I could barely get him, like shake him, but I was shaking him. And normally my husband would wake right up. He's not that sound of a sleeper. And he wouldn't wake up. And I knew in that moment that that thing was keeping him asleep. It had the power to keep him knocked out, which scared me even more. So I kept praying. And I prayed and prayed and prayed. No matter what it was doing, it was mocking me. I could almost feel it laughing at me. And the sound of its chanting was getting higher and louder, and I didn't care. I prayed to the point where I passed out. Just passed out. And I woke up the next morning. And it was like, what the hell? And it scared me so bad. And I realized now that my praying was working. It was trying to scare me because it was working. God was interceding. God was there. Angels were there. Everybody was there. There to help me and my family. But it was getting louder and more intense, not because it was winning. It was because it was trying to scare me. Isn't that always the way? The bullies are the loudest people because they're cowards and they have no power, so they think they can get louder. Yeah, same thing. So thank God I didn't stop. And literally thank God. And so, yeah, and it never came back. Nothing ever happened to me after that. But I have to say, I got out of anything spiritual for years because I wasn't prepared for that, and I didn't understand any of it. I'd never come across anything like that before, anything that dark. I always thought God had my back, and I would never come across anything like that. So it scared me so bad. I didn't meditate. I didn't do anything. I didn't read. I didn't watch movies. I didn't watch anything that had to do with that. And then 5 or 6 years later, it just hit me like a thunderbolt. Nothing happened because God was with you. God wouldn't let anything happen to me in spirit. I was there asking for his help, and she was there. It was a lesson. That's all that was. It was a lesson for me to learn so I can help other people. So yeah, that's the way I look at it anyway. And I got back, and I feel stronger and more capable and more experienced than I ever have. And here I am now, sharing some of my stories with whoever wants to listen. So yeah, so that's that one.